The best thing to talk about all things cycling. My favourite. Favourite ever bike course, that is quite tough. Ones that are good for different reasons. Long distance race, I think it's got to be Roth, just because the support along that course is amazing and it's the perfect amount of kind of rolling but fast road, and then you'd come through all the villages, and each village basically all the locals would be there and have all their tents set up all alongside the road. They'd all be just sat there drinking beer all day and cheering you, so kind of like each village you went through you just had this like massive cheer. And then going up Solar Hill is just like, you can't really describe it, it's just unbelievable having that many crowds around you, so close, just cheering you all the way up the hill. So that was pretty amazing. So I think Roth from a long course perspective. But then the other one that I really enjoyed was Alpe d'Huez, and I think again, you know, can't really go wrong with the roads in the Alps, the scenery around, the views. You get 3 really lovely climbs, and then after one of the first climbs you're basically just up at the top for ages, like rolling along, so you get like the views all around, but it's all then actually quite fast. And then finishing up Alpe d'Huez, you know, with all the corners is also pretty incredible. I mean, it's pretty tough, but worth it for how good the sort of views and some of the descents are. So I'd say those 2 would be my favourite. There's a session that Will sets me quite a lot that's kind of sweet spot intervals. I guess that's about sort of 80% FTP. It's usually a kind of a building one, so I'll do it in like a block of 4, say, where like the first one will be 6 minutes with like 4 minutes rest, the next one will be 8 minutes with 4 minutes rest, and build up to, you know, it kind of depends a bit on sort of where races are, but you know, build up to anything between sort of like 15 to 20 minutes depending on what we're looking at. And I find that kind of effort, it hurts enough to make it feel like you're going pretty hard, but it's also not so hard that it's not sustainable. You know, feels hard and feels like a really good session, but is maintainable and not like all out. Like, I find some of the VO2 max stuff actually I find hard. I know that's kind of the point of them, but I think having always been more of an endurance bunny rather than proper short course racer, I find it really hard pushing myself absolutely to the max for really short periods of time. Like, I'm much better at holding 80% mark for much longer rather than going like really, really hard for tiny bursts. Yeah. So I guess that's probably something I should work on. Not that it's that relevant for Ironman racing, but I think anything like that help gradually build up your sort of strength and tolerance is helpful. It's good to have some sort of guide of what your power should be, but equally I think you can kind of get that from when you're doing the sessions anyway. And if Will had set me a certain power for a sweet spot session and I was just cruising through it, I'd obviously feed that back to him and he would just make it harder. So. The goal is a bit like everything in that I just want to keep getting better. I'd like to get to a point where I am managing to lay down some of the fastest bike splits, and I'm going to have to be if I'm going to be competitive with my current swim. So continue to improve, continue to try and find little tweaks to my position that help. And I think doing a few other fun bits. You know, I think I've really enjoyed doing the gravel biking just as something different. And I think that will also help a little bit of my bike handling. So I think that's the other thing, like my bike handling is not the best. I descend better when there isn't pressure, but I have definitely found, so like disc brakes has made a massive difference to my descending, 100%, but also like I have worked quite hard on it, and I basically just have to kind of stop my brain from thinking to descend well, because otherwise I get all these things in my head of, oh, like what if you crash, or oh god, that corner looks a bit tight. I do find it helpful going out again with people that are better than you, and you can just like watch how they descend and try and follow their their lines.